Want to know how the office hours went.
Sorry, it was just audibly informing me that recording is in progress, so I didn't hear what you said, Karen.
Oh, I said I wanted to know like how the office hour, like virtual office hours thing that you did during KubeCon went.
Oh, I think it went pretty well. I we had over 30 attendees, if I recall correctly, which is well more than I had been expecting for office hours. Like I guess if it had been like a proper like presentation, I would have expected probably well more than 30, but for office hours, I was really surprised at the number of attendees. But it was also my first time doing office hours, so I don't know if maybe my expectations were just not calibrated correctly. Bridget looks like she has information about this.
This is wonderful. I'm excited to be here. I feel like this is kind of one of those shows where you do the cold open. And so the cold open, let's tease office hours and we'll get into that. But welcome to the Brigade Community Call for Tuesday, October 26th, 2021. On the agenda today, Kent's going to, as we teased, tell us some things about how KubeCon went. And we're going to also talk about the current project roadmap. So without further ado, and we'll hear from community maintainers. So without further ado, Karen, do you want to give us the rundown of what the office hours for KubeCon were exactly? And then Kent can tell us how they went.
Yeah, so as part of KubeCon, there was a in-person portion and then an online portion to the event. So as part of the online portion, Kent hosted a virtual office hour with him being the maintainer of the project. And based on the numbers that I got officially from CNCF, we had 75 unique attendees. So yeah, it is more than you think. Yeah.
Yes, that more than doubles the number that I thought. Whoa, that's great. Also, Bridget, thank you for giving us the official opening and setting context. You can tell which one of us is a podcast host. Yeah, in terms of how it went, this was my first time doing office hours, so I perhaps didn't quite know what to expect. And I guess I went into it prepared to answer questions, but not necessarily do like a presentation per se. But the questions weren't really coming, rapidly or soon enough, despite the number of attendees. So I think Vaughn was a little bit of a ringer and asked a few, questions to kind of prime the pump. And it led to some impromptu demos that went, I think, okay, but they were completely off the cuff. But again, I don't know how these office hours things normally go. I didn't walk into it prepared to do like a presentation or anything of the sort. So
I think they're usually just super open-ended and yeah. It would be like if you were working a booth, right? But
yeah.
virtually, yeah.
So I mean, obviously I was not there in person. I was only participated remotely. Probably for Karen, since you were there in person, did anybody approach you at all asking about Brigade or anything like that?
So I think Radu and Matt Butcher were there for Brigade. So I think they probably got a couple of questions, but to be honest, like traffic was so low at KubeCon, like so low. You probably got more engagement online. I think that was like across the board for all of our projects. Like even with Helm, I think there was more engagement online than there was in person.
It's as if there's a pandemic going on or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, I'm blown away by that number. I had no idea that it was that high, because I was trying to keep an eye on like the chat and the number of attendees and everything, but it was hard to do that and talk and present and answer questions and everything all at once. So I didn't notice exactly how high that number crept. So that's awesome.
Yeah, quick comment. Yeah, I thought the session went well. It was actually remarkably similar to the only other office hours I've done, which was KubeCon Euro earlier this year. And it was similar, kind of just overview of Brigade V2 with Ralph and Butcher. They were both there. And just kind of casual conversation, answering questions, off the cuff demo. So again, probably as casual as like booth duty usually is. But yeah, I thought it went well.
All right, good to know we didn't miss the mark by a ton. All right, cool. So should we do some kind of like brief project update now, probably? Yeah, so Vaughn knows all of this because he's right there in the trenches with me. But yeah, we are, I think, right on the cusp of cutting beta 4. So 2.0.0 beta 4. And the focus of this milestone has really been clearing any and all hurdles that will stop us from producing a release candidate. And since your release candidate can, of course, become your release, we're really clearing like the worst of the last remaining issues. So there will be some things that will, we'll do some more grooming and agree that some things can wait until after GA. But anything that we suspect is this is our last opportunity for breaking changes and things like that, even though in the beta phase we avoid those at all costs. This is the last opportunity if we need it. It's like the turn back now kind of thing. So and I think that's going really well. And I think that once we cut that, there are minimal changes on top of that to turn the beta 4 into an RC. And mostly it's going to involve changing the supported API version from /beta to just no trailing / anything. Because obviously you want your RC to speak stable API. So we are just about there. I think we're within a week of cutting RC1.
Oh, so this community call in 2 weeks from now, you're going to be telling us all about RC1.
Yeah. I mean, we could be telling you about GA 2 weeks from now.
We're really close.
Yeah, we're really close right now. So yeah, and one thing that I really want to call out right now as well is that we're starting to see an uptick in community contribution again, which is really nice because V2 has been a very large pivot from V1. And, I'll use that old, like, in these trying times thing, like, everybody's busy right now. And it seems a lot of people were aware of what we were doing and were content to say, I got other things to do. I'm just gonna sit back and let the maintainers execute the pivot. And that's fine. But now we see people coming back, which is awesome. And there's one guy in particular who has started making some contributions. And I've been talking to him on the Kubernetes Slack, and something that was very, very interesting to me was that he was interested in Brigade, but did not have prior experience with Kubernetes. And to me, that's awesome because we built V2 with intentions of making Brigade useful to people who weren't Kubernetes experts. And so that was really awesome to see such a person actually come out of the woodwork. So he's been making some contributions to the CLI. He's working on his second PR right now, and he wanted to try it against an actual live API server. So this contributor who's never used Kubernetes before, I pointed him in the direction of the quick start, and he was able to get through all of it and test his CLI changes against a live API server. So I think, not to toot our own horn or anything, I think we're doing something right in terms of the documentation, or at least in terms of the quick start, because somebody with no prior Kubernetes experience was able to work through it, which is awesome, I think.
It's great. It's fantastic. So now, if you have people who are checking out this meeting after the fact, and they're thinking, well, I might want to get started with a contribution, but where do I even get started? What would you recommend folks who want to get started contributing to Brigade? What should they look at?
So I want Vaughn to answer this as well, but my answer is that we've been tagging any issues that are real, like low-hanging fruit, easy, kind of gentle introductions. We've been tagging them as good first issue in a lovely shade of purple. And I've been trying to advertise those as they pop up. So I try to be a presence every day in the our Slack channel. And whenever one of those crops up, I try to advertise it so that people know that it's there. So anybody who does view this after the fact and wants to pitch in, go look at the issue queue and look for issues that are tagged as good first issue. And that's a great place to start. And we're happy to provide additional guidance if you're going in cold. We want to help you. So reach out to us on Slack, and would love to chat.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that. I think that's a great first entry point. The only other thing I was thinking about was, our contributing guide on the main Brigade Core community repo, but I was just looking at that. That's more kind of like signing your commits and kind of parameters for contributing. So I think, we might be well suited for more of like a separate doc for, listing with links to the good first issues on the issue queue. Certainly that contributing doc, quick start, kind of like a dedicated page for, a roadmap of where to get started contributing to Brigade.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that yet, I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, because you're right. Our contributing guide is like super focused on how to sign your commits, both from like the DCO perspective and from the perspective of, cryptographically signing them to assert your identity and so forth. So yeah, I think we could do something more comprehensive on that front. So one nasty little thing that I foresee coming up just before we go GA is we need to, so all V2 work has been done up to this point in a V2 branch, and we do need to figure out how to transplant that into the main branch, or rename the main branch, or do whatever we're going to do. But very importantly, do it without disrupting anybody who is consuming or dependent on packages from V1. And Go is it's scary. So I need to reread very carefully all of the docs about what is considered the right way to do this. And I might enlist help from Carolyn, who I usually think of as my go-to person when I'm in over my head with Go dependency stuff.
That's a fearsome and amazing recognition. You can tame the Go dependencies.
Yeah.
We'll have to credit Carolyn for that.
Yeah, and I think, and Bridget, you mentioned in the chat, does the chat get recorded along with everything else?
I mean, it gets saved, but I don't know if it gets published.
Okay.
I think when you record a call, it's like a extra file. So
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
So I don't know
like a
where you
text
would
file.
put it, but
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't look at that file, Bridget mentioned in the chat just now that Helm went through this a while ago. So, maybe we can talk to teammates or look at the history of that repo to just kind of see how they pulled that off. So that's thanks for calling that out, that they've been through this already.
I mean, Go deps are the way they are, but also if people are running their production services out of whatever happens to be live in the main branch on GitHub, they might experience sadness. Like things on GitHub will change.
Well,
It's
yeah,
probably
that's absolutely true. But then I think the other variable in the equation here is the method or the method du jour of approaching Go dependency management has changed so many times that the rules that we play by now with Go mod and so forth are not the same rules that have been in force all along, and they may not be the same. They are likely not the same rules that anybody consuming packages from V1 may have been playing by. And I think that's a complication that I just want to make sure I understand all facets of it before we actually rename any branches or anything.
I think Carolyn will definitely know plenty about that.
Yeah.
And I see Vaughn nodding.
Yeah. And some experimentation may be called for here too, with a little, experimental repository to see how these things go. The only other thing that I might add is that I don't know if we should do this pre-GA or post, but we do have enough good stuff queued up in V1 and in the charts repositories as well, that we might consider doing a release of the perhaps a final release of the old stuff. I say perhaps, but of course we're going to work out some kind of schedule for maintenance and sunset and security issues and all of that. But yeah, we probably should consider what might be a final release of the old stuff.
Just make sure a new release is the last thing on GitHub, because otherwise, if it's like new release and then final release of old stuff sitting there hanging out being what looks like the newest thing on GitHub, just like on the side of your repo, people get confused by that.
Oh, so are you suggesting that we do like the final like 1.4x or whatever before we cut 2.0?
I mean, hopefully 2.0 will have plenty of releases following it, but yeah, just you don't want the last thing that you've released to be an older rev sitting there on your page for quite a while, because people get confused.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so and maybe that forces us to slow down, and because the thing is, like, once V2 is out there, hopefully things really take off once this is stable and GA and more people start using it, at which point I'm going to lose a lot of my motivation to do anything with V1. So maybe it is better that we get that stuff out of the way up front before we lose the motivation to do it.
I'm not in any way telling you to delay. I'm just giving you a GitHub logistical puzzle to consider.
Oh no, I know what you're saying. I think it's just a happy accident that it forces us to, to do the right thing.
Yeah, I'd say we can keep momentum for at least the RC. Can it? Because actually, we've been in this predicament up until now because all the V2 releases have been like pre-release GitHub. Mm-hmm. So the main Brigade repo has shown like the last V1 release as the last release up until now. But anyway, I say we continue momentum for the first RC candidate, which would also be a pre-release. Then that's the time to like, yeah, sort everything out with V1 before going GA. Maybe the go depths and, you know, the branch change, all that
Okay.
hard work.
All right. So, but you know, none of this really changes too much. I think we're still, you know, on track to cut that beta 4 very soon and the RC1 not long thereafter. We'll just have to work out some of these logistics before we get from the RC1 to the, you know, actual release.
Super cool.
Yeah, so we're in good shape right now. I guess one other thing, we do have, you know, obviously a lot of gateways or other, you know, shall we say peripherals like the metrics and the noisy neighbor, which is a little bit of chaos engineering stuff. And I think unless anybody has different ideas, I don't think that those all have to go GA at the exact same time that Brigade itself does. I would like to give ourselves the luxury of a little bit of time to clean up each one of those, and make sure, you know, every I is dotted and every T is crossed. Any thoughts on that, Vaughn?
That sounds fine to me. Yeah, I mean, those are on their own release cadence already.
Mhm.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I don't really have anything else to add. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
I think I scheduled like a cloud native live stream slot for Brigade V2 that is supposed to be in November. I will follow up with you, but there should be another opportunity for more content to come up soon.
Okay. Oh yeah, and speaking of content, I know Karen and Bridget, you know, we were all working together this morning on figuring out the logistics behind getting Brigade a YouTube channel, and all of that. So thank you for all the help with that. And yeah, once the technical work, you know, is, you know, put on pause for a little bit, after GA, I can really start cranking out some videos. I want to do like short 5-minute, you know, very narrowly scoped, you know, topic oriented videos, and do a series of them. So that's something I'll start looking to do after we go GA.
Very cool.
I'd like to do it beforehand, but you know, there's only so many hours in the day.
I mean, once you go GA and then you're doing these CNCF webinars, and there's plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
Let's get those bits on disk.
All right, so for anybody who watches this video, the YouTube channel is coming. And in fact, you might be watching this video on that YouTube channel.
I think you have an email in your inbox with info from CNCF. So coming real soon now, TM.
Awesome.
And
And
then
then the next, I think
Karen and I were about to say
it,
the same thing. Go ahead, Karen.
that our next call will be on November 9th. Is that what you were going to say? Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and I think next time I I will be more prepared for this next time. It was tough because I came back from vacation just like yesterday. So yeah, we should do more next time in terms of advertising this, get some tweets out and everything more in advance. So, all right, cool.
See ya. Thanks.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.